Hi, welcome. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Art Lexcia podcast. Welcome to episode 194. Definitely closing in on the 200th episode, which is kind of exciting. It's numbers matter in this game. So hits, likes, comments. Numbers matter in podcasting. Also, just before I get to my guest, also a crazy time to be a colored podcaster in South Africa this past week. Yeah, I won't comment on it, but it's a very interesting podcasting has seriously taken off in South Africa this past, I would say, since post-COVID, but definitely over the past 2 years or so, and it's always in the news for some. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, today we welcome back a friend of the Art Lexcia podcast we spoke to earlier on this year, and we're going to be celebrating it today. So Nadia Virasamy celebrating her 20th year, is moving into dance, which is a huge thing, and I'll sort of explain that. So just before I introduce Nadia, and she is online, just the video is not there, so she is there. Is that like if you anybody that's been listening to this, this podcast or is familiar with the arts, to know that 5 years is a long time in any organization. 3 years can be a lifetime. 10 years is forever, and 20 years is, I said forever and a life. It's definitely something, because I can tell you now, within 20 years, technology has gone from, has grown. Politics has, the political landscape has, and certainly the art has, and in between all that, we still had the COVID-19 pandemic, which, as you know, has shifted everything in a major way, including finances and money related stuff. So it's a major achievement. So Nadia, firstly, my sister, welcome back. Good morning. Welcome. And yeah, how are you today? How are you this morning?
I'm I'm well. I'm just so excited to be chatting with you again.
Nah, good
And
man. Same here.
yeah, it's so funny. Like you said, 20 years, and it blows my mind. I mean, besides the fact that it gives away my age, it's I tell everybody that I started at moving into dance at the age of 5. So 20 years on, I'm only
Ah,
35.
so you
Um,
25 years. Okay, so that's it. So everybody, she's 25, and that's it. These days you believe whatever you want to believe, so that's it. And we won't talk about the age thing because I must speak last when it comes to that. But 20 years is a very, very long time, Nadia. It's a very long
it
time.
is.
Let's actually start with, and this is something I'm actually also interested to know. In 20, in 2005, I remember that time pretty well. I published my first book in December that year. And I think that year for me sort of, I guess, announced myself in the arts in Joburg in, I guess, in some way. How did you start off at moving to dance? What was it like back then, and how did you start off? What do they call it? Were you interviewed? Were you headhunted? Yeah, let's start off with that.
So it's such a strange story, but before I do anything else, Wesley, I want to give a big shout out to all our colored brothers and sisters. We love you guys. Just remember that. And moving on, Wesley. So yeah, in 2005, so just before that, I uh, I was a lecturer at a university, and so that was my career trajectory. I loved education. It's something that I always wanted to stay in, and more specifically, tertiary education. Um, but you're young and you feel invincible. So off I went to the University of Venda in 2003, because it was my first full time contract that I received. And I got to this university and I worked for 2 years. And I didn't feel so invincible by the end of it because, just surrounded by so many speed bumps to delivering education, and it just kind of broke my spirit. And I knew, and it wasn't, um, it was simple things like not having a classroom to teach in. So sometimes I had to teach under a tree, which I didn't mind. But, coming from the University of Natal in Durban and seeing that level of privilege and that level of opportunity,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then seeing what the youth at the University of Venda had to contend with just to access education. And like I said, it broke my spirit. And after 2 years, you have the option of either, of your contract being renewed. But if it's renewed after 2 years, then you have to be made permanent. And I think I may have been a little vocal in the wrong kind of way. And anyway, so my contract wasn't renewed, but I also kind of knew it was my time to move on. So the first job I got after that was in the music industry in Johannesburg, and I jumped at this opportunity, needing to work, and it had nothing to do with education, and it was basically an artist management job. But of course, then again, after 2 years, I was just sort of like I was so exhausted. It just wasn't my thing, and I was really craving to get back into education, and so I took the first that I applied for an administrator position at Moving Into Dance, and so I was called in for the first interview, and I remember one of the tasks they gave me was to do a petty cash recon, and the
Okay.
last time I had done anything to
Okay.
do with accounting was years ago when I was in matric. So, anyways, I knew that was a disaster, and I eventually thought, okay, these people are never going to call me back. And surprisingly, I got called in for a second interview. But what had happened in the interim is the director of education at Moving Into Dance had resigned. And yeah, as fate would have it, I stepped into that role, which was much, much closer to my skill set. And yeah, got appointed in 2005 and been here since. So yeah,
Sure.
interesting journey.
Yeah, man. Like I said, 20 years in any art institution is a hell of a thing. And people who tune into this platform will know, like as I said earlier on, 5 years can be forever. So many challenges. I don't really want to. Well, I mean, I don't want to brush on a few. I mean, I think it makes sense to brush on a few, but I don't really want to dwell on the challenges because I think that is just, yeah, not today. But I mean, one thing uh, that I know in 20 years, technology has changed a hell of a lot since then. There wasn't even social media back then. Did that play?
Mm.
Did that have any a lasting impact on you and your management or you're just running the business? I mean, if you must think back, I mean, back then we still used 2G cell phones. Um, People still send SMSs to chat via SMS, and I think uh, Mixit was the most popular app in South Africa that time, and that was a kiddie thing. It was, at least for me, it was. So yeah, I would be interested
Yeah.
to know your take on that, given to where we are now. Yeah, can you sort of comment on that?
Mm. I mean, wow, what a change, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, my memory, my memory of starting off and moving into dance is we had this one computer, this one computer that had access to email. So we had one email account, and that was in the in the central office. So if we needed to send an email, so I think so all of us would use the same email to send, an email out. But we were still in the age of sending and receiving faxes as well.
Yeah. Faxes. I forgot about that one. Yeah, forgot about the fax. Yeah.
So yeah, so it was really crazy, um,
Mm.
and the SMS thing and all of that stuff. And I remember like sometimes after a production, you want to send a thank you note to everybody, and you have to type this really long message. And it was, do you remember how the cell phones were? Like, you didn't have the
Yeah,
proper keyboard, so it was like
yeah.
to get the
You have to
one letter,
click
you had to
on
press.
the same
Yeah.
button. Yeah, yeah.
So it
Yeah,
kind of
no, I
kept your
remember.
messages quite succinct because it
Yeah, it
was
was
quite
always very
frustrating.
short and
So
punchy.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's so that's sort of, that's my memory of 2005. And then I remember sort of like, I think Facebook kind of came into play from about 2008, 2009.
Mm,
And, it was just this whole world. But also, I remember how suspicious I was of this. Like, oh my word, like who's
me
looking at
too.
my stuff? And,
Mm,
but you kind of, you go with the flow and you learn. And the one thing I always said to myself is that I will not be afraid of technology. So I was always willing to learn, and fortunately I was surrounded by lots of very kind people that, took the time to help me through things.
mm,
And it's something that I think I got from Sylvia Glauser, who's the founder of Moving Into Dance. She's now 84, she'll be 85 this year. And she's still, I mean, last year she choreographed an entire 30-minute dance work um, online using Zoom.
mm,
So, and at that age, she's still very active on social media,
mm,
and, she does online shopping and all of that stuff. And she's
mm,
just someone that embraced technology. And I realized the value of
mm,
technology in our lives and how much it has
mm.
improved how we live. For the
Absolutely.
longest time, access to information and access to opportunities was very restricted, and it was privileged access. Uh,
Mm.
but now anybody can access information. Like, you have
Yeah.
information at your fingertips. Sadly, information is as accessible as it is. Sadly, I think the youth just don't use it in the way that I don't think they value it as much as we do. But yeah, I mean, technology, wow, it blows my mind when you decode it in that way. It's really,
Interesting, man.
really exciting.
Yeah, man. Just I can remember. If I needed to research any subject, I had to take a taxi, go to the library. That already was like probably half of my morning. Go into the library, look for a book, sit down, find the article, and I mean, books are usually quite outdated. At least the Joburg library at that time was. So the
Mm.
information you're getting is it doesn't speak to today. And reading, finding magazines. Now I can do all that while I'm having breakfast. And I also think that the
Mm.
communication a part of it was massive. The one thing that to me was life changing was international calls. Um, International calls was very expensive. It was, it's very very expensive.
Yes.
I mean, now I
And you have
can
to
talk
dial
per
like a
hour.
million numbers, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was like these long, it's like in the UK, it's like these long as that I could never remember, and now I can have an hour, 2 hour conversation with somebody on the other side of the world, and it costs me a fraction of the cost and the quality. There's video and all of that. So I think
Mm.
it's from a communication perspective, and it's interesting how you saying this lady sort of used Zoom to choreograph, because I've also, well, as you know, I sort of track those type of things, which actually kind of leads me to the next question, because I mean, 20 years, like I said again, long time. What's your major highlights? I mean, I'm sure there has to be a few, um, projects that you felt like went, that was just on point and so forth.
Sure, there was so many.
I'm
I
sure.
think the thing that's closest to my heart is us launching a project with Moving Into Dance called Enable Through Dance, which is a disability
Yeah.
and dance project. And we work with different special needs schools, probably about five or six around Johannesburg, weekly. And yeah, we work with kids with varying disabilities, physical, mild mental disabilities. But the one that really, really speaks to my heart is we work at the Johannesburg Hospital School for Autism. which apparently I didn't know this until we started to work there, is the biggest school for autism in the world.
Okay.
And it's
I
around
also
the
didn't know
corner
that.
from us up here in Hillbrow.
Interesting.
Yeah. And these kids are just so amazing. You know, they're so excited about having their dance class every week. And so, you know, with autism, you can't structure and routines very important to an autistic person. And so we have a production at the end, sort of in October every year, to give to give the kids this full theater experience. So they get to perform with the lights and the costumes and the calls and the stage management, and just have this incredible experience. And we also try and give them a 2 or 3 run production, so it's not just a once off like a school concert. They get a little bit of a run.
Hmm.
And with the School of Autism, we had to film the kids because the teachers were not sure about how they would feel with the music and the lighting, and how it would unsettle them because it was out of their normal routine. But the teacher took a chance and brought the kids to watch the show, and they were so excited, like, to see themselves, because we projected their we flighted their performance at the concert, and they were so excited and they were shouting. And at the end of it, like, a whole lot of them came up to us and they were like, no, next year we want to be on stage, we want to do it here. But unfortunately we didn't get to do it the following year because then it was COVID, and
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's those things. I mean, just those memories that I just cling to, because
Yeah.
it's those memories that make me realize how important our work is, because it's not easy running a not for profit, but it's even harder running an arts not for profit because people
Oh,
often don't
absolutely.
see the value in what you do.
Hmm.
Because I'm often asked, why should we support dance? But you're not supporting dance as such. Dance is just the tool we use to empowering youth, to teaching them how to create their own job opportunities in a country that lacks opportunity, in a country where the majority of employable young people do not have access to work. So why not teach them that they can create their own opportunities? And that's what we do. So yeah, that's what makes me excited.
No, I mean, interesting that you say. It's also interesting what you highlight as your, what the first thing that comes to your mind. In my experience, is when you ask artists, highlights of their career, it's usually financially, the financially ones, or I say the ones where they got paid the most, basically. Is that a lot of artists and creative
Yeah.
people highlight that. Um, and yeah, I guess I get it. I mean, I get it, but yeah, it also shows me your heart is, and big ups to that. Um, here's something also. I
Thank
was
you.
watching a documentary last night. I love documentaries. And there was the one thing that it sort of relates to this. I mean, 20 years on, I mean, you've got a wealth of knowledge on how to run organizations and stuff. If you were mentoring somebody, what I would say, I'm trying to look for the right word, but what are the major things that you found out over the past 20 years that would like to pass on to somebody that you think is valuable for them to keep the sort of legacy of not letting go, because it's so easy to give up. What were like the major highlights
Mm.
with regards to that?
Well, I think it kind of feeds into your comment prior to this. Like, if you're getting into something like this for the money,
Mhm.
then don't waste your
Yeah,
time.
it's not for you.
Because in the arts, not yeah, no, you're definitely not going to make money from this. But I think and to me, money is so common.
Mm,
Whether you have it or you don't, it's just something that's just, it really is common. your integrity is very important, and where your heart is. And, especially with everything that's happening in government at the moment and in this country and all these revelations, you kind of realize that there are things that are far more important than money. And there are things that are far more important than titles and, affluence. And I've been thinking a lot around this whole notion of corruption and anti-corruption, and where we stand. And my perspective of this whole thing is perhaps we need to change this dialogue, and we need to engage in active citizenry, because if there's anyone that's going to make a change here, it's going to be us, and changing our attitudes and changing our behaviors and working toward what we want. And it might be small changes in little pockets, but every little change makes a difference, because we've realized that, the people that we rely on for change and to protect us are not really doing that at the moment. So, what are we doing for ourselves? We need to take back our power, and we need to stand up for ourselves and create the kind of society that we want.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, it's all up to us for sure. I have to comment slightly on the whole political thing. Just my 2 cents on it is that it's been stubbornly consistent over the past 20 years, regardless of who's been at the head, to be fair. At least that's my experience. It's really been
Mm.
stubborn in terms of change, regardless of how technology has changed. And it's kind of off topic, but I feel like sort of want to mention it is that that's why I've just invested and pivoted towards building platforms because it's not regulated. I mean, they're trying to, and they most probably will, but you still can't regulate it like you can a physical space, especially if you're getting funding from a certain group of people, in this case, government. Yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
I've and like and I like to applaud you on that because to to have to be very I wouldn't say stubborn, but to very focus in terms of your principles. It's a hell of a thing. Uh, Money or the lack of money, politics changes people's perspectives over time. Technology, I think I'm gonna put technology on there as well, changes people's perspective over time and people's interest shift, especially post COVID. Because I can understand that must have been a hell of a, I mean, it
Mm.
changed everything for us radically. So yeah, once again, big ups to that, Nadia. I also read that you also been on a bunch of on numerous boards, and serving on numerous. Can you just highlight one or two of them that is rather close to you?
Sure. So, I used to, I'm no longer on it, but I used to serve on a board called the Poets for Music Project, which was a music program used in the rehabilitation of prisoners. And that
Mm,
was quite, I mean, I quite love that project. Um, because again, it was about active citizenry, you know,
mm,
um, about empowering disempowered individuals and creating opportunities. So that was pretty good for me. And I currently serve on the Newtown Improvement District Board,
mm,
which is, Newtown's being flagged as a cultural precinct. And we just sort of work toward creating a clean and safe environment for artists and for the public within this space. And Newtown used to be, you know,
oh yeah,
quite a vibrant,
the epicenter of art in the early
between
2000s.
2000 and so 2005 to,
I started off there.
yeah, 2010 thereabouts.
Mm,
Really, you need to come back. Um, so yeah, so we're just trying to revitalize it, because I think Newtown is the gateway to the city.
it is.
And if we could get it right here again, and it's difficult because a lot of big business. So we operate on the premise of collecting voluntary levies from organizations that occupy Newtown,
Mm,
and using that to create a safe space, clean space. And it's been very challenging over the last few years, especially post COVID.
Mm,
Because a lot of big business has moved out of the area,
mm,
because of issues in and around the city, which is quite sad because Newtown really is an incredible space to work in. And hopefully, big business will come back. But for now, a lot of effort is being put into the revitalization of the space. And I think the Newtown Board, Improvement District Board,
mm.
together with other development and property companies in the area, are working hard toward revitalizing this space.
Nadia, I've a few stuff. 2 points on Newtown. Firstly, like I mentioned, like I started off there. One of the best things, one of my favorite memories of Newtown is everybody was there. So there was theater, photography, the market lab, there was baseline, and there was artist
Mm.
proof, there was visual artists, I remember I think it was early 2000s. They used to have the market. There was a Saturday morning market, which was pretty vibrant. I mean,
On the square. Yeah.
yeah, man, that was very cool. And the bus factory had that beautiful exhibition space. And I mean, even Joy of Jazz used to be held there. But then they built a
Mm.
mall. I mean, I think once they built that
Yeah.
mall, everything died. Because and what I found so ironic about the building the mall is that most of the time that mall was empty. At least the last time I was there, most of those shops. So to me,
Mm.
it seemed like it worked at a loss. So I guess I want to ask you, moving forward. I mean, Kippy's Couch and Coffee. I mean, there's so many iconic, where the majority of all your heavy hitters in the arts, especially from a Gauteng perspective, moved through there, had shows, productions, sessions, and so forth, all in Newtown. And a horror cafe. How could I forget horror cafe? Which is a morgue now. I mean,
Yeah.
like, what craziness is that? So
It was a horror
guess
indeed.
yeah. No, I mean, like, when I saw that post, I laughed. Obviously, my first reaction was to laugh, but then it wasn't so funny. And I'm like, what the hell? Who thought that was a good idea? Um, I guess, like, I don't know, like, moving forward, man. I mean, like what's happening at Bree Street. I mean, I read that they're gonna fix it. There's another deadline thing, but you can never believe that. There's all these
Mm.
buildings that have been illegally occupied and so forth and so forth. So the challenges are substantial. But,
Yeah.
like, can you just give me some insight into, I guess, projects that you guys are doing, sort of to revitalize or to bring back Newtown?
Yeah, so there's a lot of um, development programs on the agenda in terms of refurbishing some of the arts buildings. There's also talk about the Car Street, the entry into Newtown from the M2 via Car Street, of revitalizing and creating a
Okay.
safer bypass on that.
Mm,
Um, Museum Africa is also being
mm.
flagged for, some development. I mean, it's such a beautiful space. It's a pity it was left to,
Absolutely.
you know, get to where it
Mm.
is. And just trying to bring back more events on the square. We also, speaking to the director of arts and culture, hoping that we could bring Arts Alive back into Newtown. Do you remember those days of Arts Alive where, I mean,
Yes,
just for the month of
absolutely.
September,
Yeah, and I mean,
Newtown
it's
would
around the
be
corner.
buzzing with
Yeah,
dance and music and
yeah. It was,
yeah,
it was, it was, it was, it was, it was
yep.
exciting, man,
So
and it,
yeah,
it
so that
incorporated
those
everybody. Well, sorry for breaking your word there,
yeah.
but, like, it just encompassed, like, everybody's involved: visual arts, musicians, poets, photographers, dancers. Everybody had a sample where it was
Mm,
vibrant, and the productions were great. And it was also the best time of the year. I mean, September. It's not too
yeah,
warm, it's not too cold. The gigs in the evening were usually beautiful. A lot of very, very good memories
I know.
around that.
You sound as excited as I. I mean, I remember that. Yeah, what a time! What a time to
What a time
be
to
an
be alive.
artist. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
like,
those are just Yeah.
No, sorry, continue.
No, no, I was just sharing your excitement that, I still
Oh,
I remember those days, and I mean,
no,
just to go back there, like, wow.
I mean, I remember like what's this hip hop back to the city. I mean that was in April. You know, there was a real gritty underground thing,
Mm,
especially when before it moved into the square. There was a real and also something I picked up over the time. If you think of bands like Kwani Experience, and others, they there was almost a certain type of sound that even some of the poets and the productions that came from there, that I personally, I feel I was blessed to be part of that. But like as you say, if you guys are working on stuff, I'll
yeah.
definitely keep an eye open for that for sure, and definitely try to be covering that on this platform, which actually leads me sort of to my next question, and sort of this is like in closing. So I mean, 20 years on, what's the next 20 years gonna be like?
Oh, wow. I don't think I've thought that far ahead, but I mean, I have this track record of not staying longer than 2 years in a job, and now 20 years for me is like, whoa, did I really do that? Um, sure. I just, to be honest, I just want to see moving into dance thrive. Um, since I think kind of since 2015, we've just basically managed to keep our head above the water, continue to do our programs and projects on very shoestring budgets. And COVID just really, I mean, really threw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, it
And
did.
I'm
It
just
did.
sort of feeling since kind of 2024 that we've kind of, we're coming out of that post COVID um, feel. But in the next 20 years, I want to see this organization thrive. I want to see the artists thrive. I want to see our programs expand. We've had to run everything on a very small scale. I mean, our training programs now, we take in 10 students in the first year. There was a time where, we could take 25. Um, so I want to be able to see all of that again. I love this organization that I work for. I don't think I would have stayed 20 years if I didn't. And I really want to see just flying onto new heights. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, man, I share your sentiments with that, and also I mean, I'm asking like 20 years on, but tongue in cheek, because I mean, I understand it, and also given where, politically and in terms of technology we're moving in, 20 years, it'll be a lot different than it is now. But the one thing that'll be consistent, that'll still be there, is the arts, and I mean, is people's appreciation for the arts.
Yep.
And I sort of want to sort of add my 2 cents on that. I think that the arts needs to adapt to that very quickly, especially with regards to AI.
Mm,
I was chatting to buddies of mine, to an old friend of mine in the week. Um, I mean, these guys used to do translations, and made a living off of that. I mean, that is gone. Um, so many other,
yeah.
things, but and also moving to this virtual world, which takes funding away from, like the Newtown precinct and so forth, and all of challenges are substantial. But
Mm,
I do think that, I mean, my take on art history, if you it doesn't even matter how far you go, it has been consistent in human civilization, and how people have evolved. I think it's probably the most consistent thing that at least people
mm,
appreciated. So the arts need to adapt, and that's just, there's no gray areas. It just needs to, and it's gonna need people like yourself with the experience, and the heart, to sort of lead that. And if you're not there, or you're moving on, at least the that mentorship program, because there need to be somebody with in the same light to take over that, because I mean we're not going to be around forever. So yeah,
Mm.
I just sort of wanted to end off with that,
Mm.
which is something that's also very dear to me. So I definitely feel you on that. And but then again, Nadia Virasamy, thank you very much for coming through, my sister. Once again, many congrats for the. Are you gonna have a celebration on that? Are you gonna? Is there? I don't know. Do you still do that type of thing?
Um, no, I don't know. I think it was I think we'll have cake at some point, but yeah, nothing on the cards yet.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just always so complicated. I gotta find funds for it. It's not in the budget. Um,
Now I hear
but
you.
yeah, it's just
I
like
hear
I
you.
just feel so blessed to work with the people that I work with in the space that I work with, and everybody's just been so kind, and there's been so many messages coming through, and I just I felt very special this last week, and very
Mm,
valued, and it's a rare thing to feel that in the arts. Most of the time you feel very trampled and stifled, but there's just been such incredible generosity in people, and their congratulations and their thanks, and yeah, I really do feel blessed.
Yeah, man, I sort of want to end up. I think that's a very good point to end up in. In the arts, we're all at the mercy of the recognition factor. We all need it to survive and to be recognized, and to have peers, colleagues, comrades, and so forth. Share that with you. I mean, that's very cool. So, soak it in. And definitely from the Art Lexia podcast as well, for sure, man. Like, soak it in. Take it in. Again, like, I know my experience. Artists appreciate things in their own time in different ways. It doesn't always have to be this or that. I know I do. I'm talking from experience here. So soak it in, my sister, and enjoy it. It is Women's Day. What's today? Friday? I think it's tomorrow, over the weekend. It was supposed to be a long weekend, but it's not. So
It's
enjoy your
tomorrow.
Women's Day.
Yep.
You see, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. I need an assistant for that. I'm not very good with dates. I have to write everything. I have to punch everything into my phone. Otherwise, I will forget. Oh yeah, it's the 8th today. There we go. It's the 8th. Yeah, it's tomorrow. So enjoy your Women's Day tomorrow as well. And once again, my sister, please, I take it all in. Blessed, and hopefully we'll have you around for another time, and our paths will definitely cross again between that. And enjoy the weekend as well. And once again, thanks very much for coming through.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's always so lovely chatting with you, Wesley.
Thank you so much.
So easy to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Take care, man.
Have a
Yes.
lovely
Bye bye.
day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.